No more room tone, bitch. Casey, I like your vintage Buffalo Bills hat.
That's the bison stink.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a potentially sedate episode of Bloody Good Horror. We have COVID recoverers. We have people are
chronic
sick,
illness,
some chronic
honeys in the
illness. Like
house.
just everybody's jacked up tonight. And we're here to talk about the quietest movie of 2022, David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future.
They told Viggo Mortensen, whispers only.
Yeah, which always reminds me when I hear this title, I think of Time Crimes, and the Spanish title, which is Cronos Crimines, which I always found to be a very pleasant to my ear. I just like it.
So the two C's, the two hard C's.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. 668. Let's do it.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
What?
Eric, I assumed you realized you just skipped right over intros. You were just like, fuck it.
Oh.
We're not even doing
You know
it
what's so
tonight.
funny? Okay, first of all, I warned you guys I was going to be like this tonight. Second of all, I was sitting there in my head being like, wow, that feels like a really short intro. Oh, well, I guess we're just ready to go on.
Do the drop.
Here we are. Welcome tonight to the show. First up, Casey,
Hello.
Caitlin,
Hey.
John Schnars.
Hi.
There it is. You're introed. How do you
Oh.
feel?
That was great. Why don't we do it that way every time?
John, you're what the kids would call a David Cronenberg stan. You stan
yes.
him.
I am always been standing.
You're a stanner.
That's not it.
Yeah. What is it you like about Cronenberg? That's my question, I guess, for you tonight.
I mean, what's not to like, really? I mean, look, I would say in seriousness, I think he just makes some fucking crazy movies. Say whatever you want about him. Like, point me to another director who is consistently making stuff as sort of like challenging and interesting as he is.
Mm-hmm. That's a
You
good
can't.
point.
Good luck.
That's actually that's a very good point. What's your favorite Cronenberg movie, John?
I mean, I usually go to The Brood. That's the one. Maybe you remember I did it as a staff pick many
So good.
many
Oh,
moons
yeah.
ago. It's the best. I love that. I mean, like the classics, like Scanners and Videodrome are probably like, if you're making a Mount Rushmore. I love Existenz, which I know, Eric, you're a big fan of, and
Yes,
we've
sir.
talked about a handful of times. I think the recent work, like the what I'll call modern work, like the stuff post 2000, effectively. So like History of Violence, Eastern Promises, the one with, I think it was called like a Dangerous Method. It's like the one with I think it's about Freud or like some people, in any event.
Yeah.
And then like Cosmopolis, and then the one with Julianne Moore, Map of the Stars or Map to the Stars.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
They're all good, but they're way less crazy in the way that like we think of, when you think of like Existenz.
Yeah, John, do you prefer
this movie.
Canadian rebel Cronenberg or Hollywood A-lister Cronenberg?
I mean, the Vigo collab has been excellent, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, History of Violence is probably his like.
If you're into Viggo,
Cleanest
if you're
work.
into Viggo Mortensen's like torso, you should probably check this movie out.
I do want to talk about it at some point. I mean, and I know we're anti-body shaming. That's not what this is about. But like Vigo, when you see him in other roles, he's like cut and like looks.
I was
great. And,
like slightly surprised just because everything I've seen him in, he's been like a brick shit house.
well, and I think
But he's
I
also
think
old.
it was a prosthetic. Like I don't
Well,
know that was his actual stomach. I don't
They
know.
probably
like, it was
weren't cutting into his stomach, I would guess.
in real. You mean in real life? Yeah,
With
probably.
Yeah,
little like baby crustacean
Wait.
like
The sark.
little
The-
baby
the
crustacean
sark.
arms pulling him open.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do think History of Violence is like if like a normie, we've talked
Mhm.
about normies in the past. Like if a normie came to me and was like, "Hey, what's the deal with Cronenberg? Like, should I watch one?" I would start them on History of Violence because there's no baby, arachnid
Yeah,
hands.
Go
Like,
the
Yeah.
Brood right away.
yeah, just go straight Brood.
Straight
Go-
Brood.
yeah.
Rabid. We just covered up. Look
Rabbit.
it up.
Yes. I mean, the early work. So we didn't talk about, but like this movie, Crimes of the Future, he has another movie. It was one of his first two films. It's only about an hour long, if I remember. I saw it in college. There's no resemblance other than they're both made by Cronenberg, so they have like wacky shit going on in them.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you wouldn't recommend that to someone. I wouldn't recommend this to someone as a starting point.
Yeah. Well, John,
Yes.
maybe you could recommend a word for us. So, please bring us the word of the day.
See, not to be overly critical, but I thought you were just going to kick right into the drop there when you asked me to recommend. You
That would
did
have
like
been-
an extra intro.
If my brain was functioning, that would have been a smart idea.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We're working through this real time. Today's word, turpitude. That is turpitude. Turpitude.
Turpitude.
Very straightforward definition. I was somewhat surprised. It's like it's a one-liner. It's a two-word definition. Depravity, wickedness.
Mm.
I would have guessed like attitude of turpentine. That was a good joke. Laugh at that
I mean,
joke.
Sure. It comes to us from the Latin turpus, disgraceful or base.
Mm.
Turpitude. I found this because I was looking at
John, I
synonyms
was going
for.
to say, based
What?
means something different now, but I understand what you're saying.
Wait,
Carry on. Caitlin knows. She's on
alright.
TikTok.
Yeah, very good. This is it's a synonym for vice, which I was sort of knocking around on vice words. If you want to know what vice has to do with this movie, I will attempt to explain it. But guys,
Well-
like, let's just be straight. Like, we'll lay down a general kind of warning. Like, there is a lot. Like, I feel like I need to watch this 3 more times before I could adequately explain exactly.
I'm
what's
going to be
going on.
honest with you, Schnotters.
Absolutely.
In the spirit of being vulnerable, John, I'm going to be honest with you and say that
You're nothing if not vulnerable. so.
I'm going to be honest with you and say that I didn't understand a fucking word of it. So I'd love to hear you tell me what it's about. Something about art.
Oh man, it's crazy.
Other than the fact
Like,
that I knew I was in the fart house while watching it, I didn't really understand it.
yeah. Well, this is like a specific kind. This is the Cronenberg fart house. Like we went like deep into the Cronenberg fart house for this one.
Like we know what he had
All
for
right.
lunch.
Yeah.
So let's. Oh man, I gotta like get up the character names even
Deep into
because
the Cronenberg fart house. It's the
So-
best thing you've ever said.
so-
I need a gif of that, please. Thank you, Dusty.
yeah, Vigo, our pal Vigo Mortensen plays Saul Tenser. So we should say this film is set in. I wouldn't even call it the future. I would call it like a alternate version of the present or alternate.
Hmm.
It is listed as sci-fi, or there's certainly sci-fi elements to this. It's not like future technology. If anything, we are living in like this film is set in like a dystopic alternate reality where there is some different technology, and we'll talk about it a bunch, but like specifically like the human body is doing like really fucked up things because of like what's happened to the environment presumably, and sort of like pathogens in our food and water and air and all this. But it's not like there's like ray guns and shit. Like there's like there, if anything, like it's like a lot of less technically advanced things than we have. There's like people using cameras, but they're like point and shoot cameras with shutters. And then again, this sort of like there's like the bio, physiological elements that are, so all that to say is like, I guess it's our universe. Like we're operating with like the normal Newtonian physics and things, but it's not. It's yeah, like the tech of this sci-fi, if you want to call it that, is in a weird spot. So you have Viggo Mortensen. He plays Saul Tenser. He is a person who, due to evolution or sort of like weird adaptations that are happening at the level of the individual, he's able to grow unique organs in his body. He uses this power. The way they define it as accelerated evolution syndrome.
Right,
That is what he quote unquote
that
suffers
there's
from.
some evolution is freaking out and taking on a life of its own and accelerating, and like in some people.
Yes. I chafed a little bit. Like evolution doesn't happen like in a person. Like that's
I
like
know,
not what evolution is. But like look, I don't like to criticize Cronenberg, so I'm
Say
gonna
taking
leave
it
that
up with your
alone.
boy.
I know, but it's a little long. I mean, you just kind of have to like you let it wash over you. So you've got Viggo. He is growing organs. He has a partner / lover, but like creative partner primarily is like how he thinks about her. Her name is Caprice. She's played by this woman Leia Seydoux.
Oh, okay.
I don't
That's who I
know
thought
if
that
we've
was.
seen her before.
I don't. Yeah,
French.
She's definitely
not
French
on
or
the
French Canadian.
not on the
maybe? I
show.
don't
Brad Pitt's seen her.
know. Oh, is that? I don't.
I don't think
That's
we've.
who he was supposedly had the affair with,
Oh,
isn't it?
gotcha.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I understand. I don't think we've done anything with her on the show.
No. I mean, I don't know that I'd seen her before. So you've got those two. And what the act that they perform is Caprice operates on him, like in a room full of people, and removes these organs that he has grown in his body.
That he's like, but like in. So the whole deal with him is that he's like an artist, because he can, using the power of his mind, like not necessarily control, but influence the way that these new organs are forming in his body. So the idea being that like the organ itself is a work of art. And then they
But
do
so is the
and then they do
performance.
the performance art, which is where she removes it and sort of shows everyone and
Tattoos and removes. Yeah.
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 this shit's
world
insane. This shit is
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. And like the world they live in, so this is all like underground. It's not something like they're like technically like outlaws or like
I mean,
somewhat
listen,
breaking
I
the law.
understood Mad God more than I understood this movie, honestly.
Probably. Yes, that's fair. We're like, all right, so we've described 1% of this movie. Let's see if we can get through like the next 5%. But so then you have so they're operating sort of under the radar. It's a I don't know, semi-legal thing they're running. Like it's not even clear that there's police. There's like somewhat of a government, and there is a policeman character, but who it turns out Viggo is collaborating with and trying to like help expose some of this like weird evolution
The plastic
stuff that's happening.
Extremist
the
group or
plastic
whatever.
eaters.
Yeah, well, because the government, such that it exists, the government's main focus is preventing this evolution syndrome from infecting the human population and sort of like crashing civilization because some bizarre trait was passed on that like prevented humans from being able to like go forward as they are, or like subdividing the species. I mean, who the hell knows? So you also then you have Timlin, this Kristen Stewart. She is
Dude,
she
love her in this movie.
she works for the National Organ Registry, and then there's another guy whose name is Whippet. The actor's Don McKellar. I had not seen him before, I don't think, but they're like the National Organ Registry. So like Viggo is talking to them about potentially registering as someone who can grow these organs, and then registering his actual new organs so that they can track him and prevent this evolutionary stuff from happening. But I don't know. It's very weird. Because they're also sort of like fascinated by this underground scene of these illicit performances. We should also say in this world, pain doesn't exist, or like the human race has like evolved beyond pain. So that's part of why these
For most
performances,
people.
for most people. But that's like why these performances are happening is sort of like, I don't know, people pushing the boundaries of what the human body can do in this like non-pain experiencing world. It's a thing.
So,
All
that's
right,
about as
other
much
things
as
that
I
are
got.
happening. Scott Speedman
Yes, Scott Speedman.
is one of these extremists. He's the one who keeps eating the purple bar of
Plastic.
Toxic waste.
yeah, it's like reconstituted toxins.
Industrial waste, I think is what they said.
Yeah, and basically he's part of a group that is trying to evolve humans like to the next level where like we can live in a universe or in a world that's been overpolluted basically, but they're bad maybe, like other people don't like them. So he has a kid with this woman, and this is actually the first scene in the movie is we see this mom kill her freaking 8-year-old, which is a little much for some of us who have 8-year-olds. And so yeah,
seemed annoying.
he then Scott Speedsman, like the main plot of the movie, or like such that there is a like specific arc that they're working through. Like
Dude,
Scott Speedsman is trying to convince
I
them.
am loving watching you do this right now, by the way. I'm
Well,
really enjoying it.
So Scott Speedsman is trying to convince Vigo and Caprice to do an autopsy on his son
As an art installation.
Yeah, but also to like expose the fact that he is like an evolved human who was born with these organs as opposed to develop them as part of this evolution syndrome.
Because that's an important piece there. The important thing with Scott's son is that he could eat plastic.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
He had like acids that he could expel
Right,
that
and
would digest.
We say plastic.
plastics.
Plastic is like the nickname that the characters in the movie have. Well, the kid actually does straight up eat plastic.
He is
He ate a
eating a
trash
trash
can.
can.
The other people refer to the toxic sludge bars as plastic, even though it's really more just like it's like Huel.
It could have been plastic. I mean, what do you know? You don't know what it's made of.
I don't know shit, John. That's what I know. All right, that's fuck it. Whatever. That sounds right. Casey, what do you think about this movie?
Well, now I've got more questions. I like this movie, but I can't tell you that I understood what was going on fully. I understand bits and pieces. Like John was saying earlier, this is one I feel like I really need to go back and watch at least 2 more times to try and make something out of. And we were talking earlier, since we've all been sick, that we might, reschedule to Thursday. And I was actually a little bit excited to try and watch it again tonight to see if it clicked a little more. There's some weird shit going here. It's wacky. It's fun. He had a hell of a cast put together to make this wackiness unfold. So when you've got the likes of Viggo Mortensen and Kristen Stewart, Leah Seydoux, and stuff like that, you're going to sit back no matter how wacky it is and kind of see where they're going, because they're taking you along for the ride. And that's what's nice. I think their skill and talent was able to make this wacky movie even more followable, even though we still don't fully understand what's going on.
Plug it up, Caitlin Grant.
So I'm a big Cronenberg stan as well.
Nice.
I liked parts of this a lot, and there were other parts that I could have left. I really like the idea of human evolution syncing up with human technology, or like sort of our surround. I mean, like I like the idea that they're evolving in this sort of weird way. I like the concept that we get really briefly from the Whippet character, I think is his name, where he's like, we don't feel pain anymore, but what does that mean for like infections and our body giving us signals? And like, there were some pretty cool, like little sci-fi things I wanted to dig in deeper. And I generally just like this sort of like evolutionary stuff happening. I also like that a lot of it has to do with the state of the planet. Like the planet is becoming uninhabitable. There's a lot of waste, like eating plastic. Like if our bodies could do that, that would be fantastic. And I like the idea that, they're trying to cover up maybe that this kid was born with that ability to digest plastic. I think where I got lost a little bit was how heavy sex is used in this. And I'm a pretty sex positive person. And like, I liked the use of sex in like Titan. and some of the other horror movies we've seen, some of the other body horror movies that we've seen. But it just felt a little much. There's a lot of nudity that I appreciated it when it was in the art installations for the performance art, but when like the two assassins slash technicians for the, you know, machinery company were like nude and like lithe in the little machine, I was like, what's happening? And then when Kristen Stewart's character says that surgery is the new sex, I like conceptually I get it. I just don't think it's fleshed out enough for me to be like, okay, I'm on board with like where we're taking this and I can sort of ride that wave. So the whole surgery is the new sex thing was kind of bizarre to me. This like raw horniness of Kristen Stewart for Viggo Mortensen's character was a little much. And that, you know, it's I wouldn't have guessed to, you know, like hear myself say that because I do generally like that kind of vibe in a movie, but it just didn't sink the way I thought it would. So I don't know. I really liked the sci-fi aspects. I liked the body horror, the zipper of the stomach at one point.
No, thank you.
Wild. The growing of the organs, like pretty gross, pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it a little more. And I'd like to watch it again. But I mean, it's Cronenberg, so I was excited, and some cool stuff happened. I'm just not sure about all the steps we took to get there.
John?
I mostly agree with Caitlin, actually. I mean, I guess my big like I also agree with what I'll say. I agree with Casey in that like I didn't like it's like an hour and 50 minutes. Like it's on the longer side, but like I was like when it ended, I was like, wait, it's ending right now. And some of that had to do with the fact that I like you're never comfortable in the plot. Like you never know exactly what the fuck is going on in this movie. And part of that's because like there's a ton of stuff going on. Like there is a whole plot line about how Viggo Mortensen is like cooperating with the police, that's like brought in late, and then you're like, wait, who is he cooperating against? Like there's a lot that I don't know. I feel like there was a screenplay that's twice as long that got cut down.
Honestly, this feels like the Coke fueled first draft that just had his ideas that he never like connected the dots on. Like it just sounded like, hear me out, guys. It's like organs, but it's like pain is sex, man. Like that's that's kind of what's here. And then nobody ever like if you look at a movie like Existence, there's lots of clear through lines there on like all the concepts he's thinking, like virtual worlds and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's a little bit the other thing I was going, and this is it could be taken in the negative or the positive. Like there's a little bit of a like paint by numbers for Cronenberg here. Like the chairs and like the Sark thing like look like Existence stuff. Mm-hmm. The like zipper thing like is very reminiscent of the Videodrome, very iconic Videodrome scene with the like tape going into what the hell's his name? Stomach. I don't know. Like there was a lot of you know, here's what it was like a little bit of a warm bath. It was like a warm Cronenberg bath where I was just like, oh yeah, like why wouldn't she put her mouth on that weird opening in his stomach? Like, you know, I was like enjoying all of the just like random craziness, but it never really felt like it added up to like something totally comprehensive. Now, I think that, as we said, like this is a movie that you could go back to many times. Like there's enough here. I think it is cohesive or cogent enough that it's at least like worth trying. But to your point, I think Eric, you're also not wrong that like there may have been like multiple overlapping things that he was trying to like communicate and then not landing any of them effectively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'll preface my review just by saying that like having some health issues today. I haven't been able to keep like a meal down. I'm not in the
Eric,
best...
just grow a new organ.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the matter with you?
Yeah, I don't need a stomach that can process toxic sludge. Can I just get a new stomach that can process food? Then I would be awesome. So yeah, I was like pretty out of it today, feeling kind of shitty, whatever. But what I will say is that kind of regardless of how I feel about this movie, what I just find Cronenberg really fascinating. Like I feel like he's not ours, he's Canadian, but what a national treasure that an artist like this pure somehow is still existing in the Hollywood system that churns out 20 Marvel movies and Star Wars movies every year, honestly.
Well, he's
Like,
not in the Hollywood system, to
well,
be
that
clear.
okay.
Like,
Canada's it's U.S., John. It's fine. What I'm saying is that, yeah, but this gets released in theaters. This stuff. That's my point. Like he gets
yeah.
exposure in the U.S. as much as any other fringe
Fair.
filmmaker making shit like this. It may be more, and he can get money, and he can get Hollywood actors, and I just think like it's amazing. He's such a he's such a relic in some ways of the 80s and 90s sort of filmmaking system that let more of this unique stuff through. And it's just, I find him to be, I look up to him and what he's doing, and I think he's really good for cinema. This movie, I also have not seen a ton of his movies. I know, John, you've had us watch a couple here in the show. I really liked The Brood. I loved Existenz, covered a bunch here. I didn't really like this movie. It's like, to me, it's just I don't even know if it's fair to say I don't think it's bad, because there's parts of it that I think might be bad, but it's just too fart housey for me. And like it no one speaks above a whisper in this fucking movie. It's like you're daring me to listen to anything you have to say. And it's funny, like, when you compare it to Mad God from last week, because Mad God in his own way is art housey, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
just
he's
that
super-
Oh yeah.
it's just that I realize I do better with art housey if it's also an assault on my senses, because then at least I'm like stimulated enough to stay in it. Everything in this movie is gray. Everyone is in the shadows. Everyone whispers, and I'm like, bro, I don't have the attention span for this. Certainly some people might, but like I literally could not focus on this movie, and I wasn't doing anything else. I was like watching on my TV, which I even rarely do that, and I was just like, I can't focus on this fucking movie. I really do think the script is half baked. It seems like, again, it's like he did the like corkboard first draft of his movies where it's like sex, ear holes, pain, like this thing, evolution, and then just like kind of went, I don't know, and randomly drew a line. It really feels underbaked in the sense that I don't think it really comes together. I don't think it had. If it does have a point of view, I couldn't really discern what it was per se. And at some point in the like tense speech about how this is like art, I was just like, okay, dude, I fucking get it. Like, whatever.
Eric, I would say really quick, because I was reading on the Wikipedia page beforehand that he did essentially try to make a version of this movie in 2003. Was trying to attach Nick Cage in the Salt Tensor character role.
See, now we're
Now
talking.
But that movie, according to, again, this is according to Wikipedia, which there's like some citations here, so like I'm just going to repeat it as if it's a thing. According to what's in the Wikipedia page, it was originally just going to be about pain and art, and there wasn't all the like growing organs or like
Well, it's interesting.
environment stuff.
I
and,
think
like,
that actually tracks and might explain some of that shared DNA with something like Existenz, if the idea has been germinating since then. Because that
was also 4 years after Existenz,
Right,
or whatever.
exactly.
You know, Existenz was in the late 90s. So
two like positives I'll say. One thing I love about Cronenberg, like, or this movie anyway, he uses practical effects, and they look like practical effects. Like he uses movies that he uses practical effects in these like glossy. I'm gonna say Hollywood. You know what I mean, John? Like glossy A-list
Yes,
movie with like
fair.
A-list actors that look like they came out of an '80s B picture, and like that's
the chair that Viggo Mortensen sits in that
Yeah.
helps him chew his
the
food.
chair and the stupid
It's
little
incredible.
hands. Like I really kind of
love it.
enjoy that about it, because there's like a
Yeah.
cognitive dissonance between the movie I'm watching and the effects in a way that I enjoy. And like good for him for going practical, and someone got a job, and that's great. The other highlight for me, far and away, is Kristen Stewart's performance. Like, it's different for her. It's quirky. I thought every moment she was on the screen, I was like more engaged than anybody. And she's pretty funny too, I felt like.
Yeah.
Like her and the dude that she works with, like I liked his journey from like I don't know, straight-laced bureaucrat to like fanboy of Viggo Mortensen. Like the two of them interacting together, him and Stewart, and then her and Mortensen. That's all the highlights of the movie for me. I could give two shits about Viggo Mortensen or his lady or any of the shit they're doing. Like part of it is that it does almost feel like you said, John, alternate. it's almost like a multiverse movie, and like it feels just like a different. We quantum leaped into this world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Sure. Yeah.
everybody is different. Like these are not. They live in a world that's just alien enough that we don't quite understand it, but we're just observing, and they're so different because they live in this world. Does that make sense? I really just wasn't connecting with anyone in this movie because everybody's so strange, and everything we're talking about is so weird, and I'm just like, I guess I'm just along for the ride here and watching this, but.
Did you have thoughts on the sex sort of like stuff?
I did mean to comment on that too, but I'll let Eric go first.
Okay.
The only thing, that scene where the two ladies are laying in the pod, that did seem just out of place for me because it doesn't go anywhere.
That's the scene where I wrote down like gratuitous, like, which is again,
But
like,
again,
I am not approved with this kind of stuff.
But again,
I was
though,
just
like,
I was going to accuse you. of
for
being
somebody
crude,
like
but-
Thank you,
Cronen-
John.
I'll leave it. at
but
that.
like for somebody like Cronenberg who, like, maybe that's part of the old school part of it. That there's like some gratuity in there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we could
I don't
maybe.
know, I mean, yeah.
Maybe if we got like some Viggo Mortensen peen, it could have like, you know, balanced things out. a little
Well,
bit,
hold
but-
on, and this is like gonna sound ridiculous, but like you see the 8-year-olds.
Yes, I
Yeah.
don't
Which, like-
understand how that. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
it's
know how that
obviously
happened.
it's like a prosthetic, but still just like a prosthetic person, or it's a CGI effect. Clearly, still the fact that
Yeah,
that's
I
in
don't know.
there is real crazy. Like you didn't
It
have
was
to make
crazy.
you didn't have to make that decision.
Yeah.
No, well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, the like nudity feels a little gratuitous. I mean, it's basically because it's you just have like these three. There's like 3 naked women, but like Vigo's fully naked. You don't get like full frontal on him, but there's a lot of Vigo body in this.
Yeah, but we do get full frontal of, I mean, the kid excluded, but like of several women, or at least
yeah.
of the Caprice character.
But I think,
just-
but
I don't
with
know, I
his
thought it
is
was a little
Caprice
str- the
is,
whole like
is Caprice her name?
surgery is the new sex is weird.
Is Caprice her name?
It was super weird. Yeah, Caprice is his like.
But I think
assistant
her
lady.
nudity at least makes sense in the story that they're telling. The other two women, it's like, first of all, I barely paid attention to know who you are. So like, why are you naked right now? Are you
Yeah.
about to
Well-
have sex? Like, this is a world where people don't really have the old sex, as they call it, John. So like,
Yeah, I
what
did
are we
like
doing
that.
here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Caitlin, I see your point. It's like one of several things in this movie where I'm like, I don't know if I'm 100% following what's going on. My takeaway from the two of them getting naked, so like they were like flipping out because these two women that we're talking about work for the software or the company that builds these like
The
what do they call them,
beds.
like biomechanical devices. They're like skeletons, but robots. I don't know. They're like he has this weird bed that he sleeps in that's like suspended from.
So
Well,
stupid.
they're
the ceiling.
mechanics
I-
/ assassins.
No, well, so they work for that company. The company's called like Life Software, something.
Lifeform
which-
software or something.
Yeah. And yeah, they're basically they're the mechanics or the like tune-up people who come to like deal with the bed, but they had never seen or like had very infrequently seen this like Sark, which is like the main thing that Caprice and Vigo saw use in their performance. And we had seen maybe like a scene earlier or 2 scenes earlier that Vigo and Caprice are using it in a very like sexualized way where they're like letting the thing they're snuggling and then being like cut up by the machine at the same
Yeah,
time.
like-
Yeah. And so I just took it as like these two ladies were kind of like, wow, like we gotta
Cut me up,
we gotta
bro.
like do the
Yeah.
sexy part of this.
You know what I did
thing.
like? I
but-
really liked the reveal of the bed in one of the first opening scenes because the room is dark and you don't actually know that Vigo's there. You just see this shadow of like a carapace-like structure in the corner, and then she
Thought it was a
op-
bug.
and then yeah, that's what I mean. Like, isn't that what they call like the
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
skeleton?
You're right.
I don't speak your
You
language.
used the correct word.
Exoskeleton.
Hey.
So like, but then she walks in the room and opens one shutter, and you see like a little bit more, and then pause, and then she opens another shutter, and it's such a weird visual. Then like once you get the full visual, it's honestly kind of silly, but I liked that kind of reveal. It's an interesting like play with shadow. I feel like
Yeah.
Vigo just like
I think
lurks. Like, you know, scene made me laugh is when like there's a scene where he's in this club and he's just like hanging out in a corner in his shroud. And then like she comes up and starts talking. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like this is you
He
just
like
sit here.
crouched really low.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think because I really did like the Kristen Stewart character a lot, and later we find out that she is the one who swapped the boy's organs to like prevent this reveal. And I wasn't sure if that meant that her coming on to the Saul character so strongly was with like this sex thing going on, because it seems like everybody is kind of like sexually charged up by this stuff, this surgical sort of like organ extraction, or if that was just part of her ploy to, I guess, get closer and figure out more information. But I don't know, it just all, I don't know. I'm surprised that I didn't like that element as much.
The kiss between Vigo and Kristen is, whew.
How does it start though, John? Fingers in the mouth, then she puts the fingers back in her mouth.
Oh.
Well, and then
Well,
he
I did.
just- he
By
has
the
his
way-
mouth open.
By
and
the
she's,
way, that's like
kissing his
that's
open mouth.
a thing of mine. Like even pre-pandemic, fingers don't go in mouths. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's disgusting.
But I did appreciate that she jammed her finger in his mouth and then sat there and looked at it like, what the hell am I supposed to do with it before she stuck it in her own mouth?
Very
that whole
bizarre.
scene.
I think
was
everybody should start
wild.
saying to people like, "I'm sorry, I'm not good at the old sex." It's a pretty
Way
amazing,
ahead of you, buddy.
pretty amazing line.
I don't know. I mean, like it's.
But
But I sort of take for granted that there's going to be like weird sex stuff in the Cronenberg movies, and so I'm like, again,
There
you're just
is,
like,
but like not as much in the older stuff. I don't know.
I don't listen. I'm all for the weird sex stuff. It's fine. with
oh
me.
boy, have you
Just-
seen Crash?
No, I actually haven't.
Oh, all right. Well, start there, and then,
So I was just
and then
reading.
you come back to me.
I was
Yeah,
just
that makes
reading
more
actually. Joe Bob released a book in like 2001 or something about like disturbing movies, and there's a whole really fascinating chapter on Crash in it.
Well, it was banned it was like famously banned in the UK, I think, for years. It's I mean, it is more sexually charged than this movie is.
And I'm cool with sexually charged. Titane has a lot of sex and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sexually charged sort of like body horror stuff. I guess I just wasn't fully buying into the connection that surgery is the new sex.
I just wish that.
Yeah,
I just
that's
wish,
that's totally fair. Like I don't, but I think as Eric kind of said, like nothing is landed super effectively here. So I like that's what, like among all of the things, I was just like, oh, there's some weird sex things going on too. Like
do
I don't
you
know.
do you think
These
if
people are naked now? Oh yeah, cool.
do you think if Cronenberg had directed Titane that the baby would have had wheels? Because I do. I
That's the
definitely
collab
do.
we really need.
But they would have been like
Julianne
bone,
DeCournau,
Bone
David Cronenberg.
bone wheels.
They would have been like bone wheels. Like yeah. So,
Hell yeah, bone wheels.
yeah. I'm
It's
here
like
for
a
the bone
nickname.
wheels.
We also would have seen that car and that lady make love. It wouldn't have cut away. That would have been
Oh
it.
yeah.
We see a fair amount of it.
I was like, how much more did you need to see?
I had some anatomical questions that I would have liked answered.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But I will say I did like this. It sounds like I'm getting caught up on the sex stuff because I guess I am. But I did like I said, the sort of like topics about environment and evolution were pretty cool.
Yeah. Anybody have a
So real quick though, before you ask your next question, with that whole scene with the reveal at the end with the kid and his body, and they open up his body doing the autopsy, was that Kirsten Stewart? I missed that part.
yes.
So
I believe
I
it
was
was
my
just-
understanding.
I was just as surprised as everybody when they opened the kid up, and I'm like, wait a minute.
What I didn't understand is why. Well, so what she did is she made it look like they were manufactured organs, not organic organs. It's not that
Right.
she like made it look like he can't eat plastic. It was that yeah. In any event,
Well,
Um,
she tattooed him, right?
yeah. Well, that's why yeah. Like they were not real organs because they'd been
Right.
tattooed. I guess the question I had that I don't know that I like, why did the mechanic assassin people kill Scott Speedman?
because he
Just
because
like,
he broke Felicity's heart.
I mean,
I guess
that
like
was
I mean he was like, oh, it's my ex-wife, like she's behind this, and I guess I don't know, he might have blown the cover that it was actually and like an inside job with this Vice unit. I don't know.
but like, were they? So they were working with Timlin, and all right.
I don't
we can
know.
move
It's
on.
hard.
Alternate theory, because he's a werewolf.
It's possible.
Those
Well,
are the
he
two
is a
things I've seen.
hybrid, actually.
Yes.
Good point. That means he's a threat to the gene pool, though, if he propagates. That's
Yeah, yeah.
which we
Well,
learn
yeah, I mean,
in later
yeah.
sequels.
Love me some Underworld.
All right. Anybody have like a favorite scene? Like, what's your favorite?
I like Ear Guy and his dance. And I like that the
Oh.
woman was like, it doesn't even make sense. His ears aren't functioning. And I was like, what a bitch. Like,
I found Ear Guy to be maybe the most horrifying thing in a really disgusting movie.
he was
Yeah.
grooving, man. It was like
Yeah.
house music. And I watched it with subtitles, house music, and he was just like,
Because it got me thinking about how they've like genetically using stem cells, they've grown ears on the back of rats, and that really freaked me out.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
or it's
Yeah.
like how like teratomas can have teeth and eyes and shit and hair.
Gross. I don't want to know what that word is. Don't tell me.
It's cool. No, I think like I don't know, all the body horror stuff was cool. I did get taken out of it a little bit with the eating when they eat and they're in that like contraption to help them eat. You know what I'm talking about?
He's like, the thing's just
It's like a baby chair
flailing
that's-
behind him
Like
with
a
its
baby
arms.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
And
be.
it's like from the Flintstones.
I think
Yeah.
I've realized from this movie, it's interesting, Caitlin. Like since you've been joining us here in the show it's been almost a year, by the way, or maybe more than a year. Like you will often talk about liking body horror, and I guess I never really thought about it. And the more I sit with it, I realize like I don't think I'm like a huge fan. I think it's just like too much for me. I feel like.
Very fair.
Maybe you're a prude, Eric. I can't.
I
don't
think
know.
it's that I find enough horror in my own body that I don't need someone else's.
Yeah, that's the point.
I was gonna
think.
say you deal with more body horror than the rest of us.
Yeah.
I mean, Casey and his neck are like gonna audition for the next Cronenberg movie. I think so.
Yeah.
Some fucked up,
I don't know. He
joints
took
and
that
shit.
neck surgery like a champ.
Yeah.
It's
It
true.
took me down for about 2 weeks. I was surprised myself.
He probably feels better now. I would guess.
Yeah.
So, there you
So,
better.
if I had to pick a favorite, I think you've got to go one of the operation scenes, or the zipper. The
Oh.
zipper sequence is definitely one of the more memorable, even if it is a little bit of a retread from.
The zipper
other-
oral
Yeah.
sex though.
Well, sorry, that is what I was referencing specifically.
I like that. What did he say? He says like, "Don't let it spill," or like, it's
Yeah.
a little. I was like, oh
God.
my.
Yes, he
Ah.
does. He says exactly that. I don't know.
And this is
So-
gonna take some rewatching.
I may need to open another bottle of Pepto if we're gonna continue the show.
Give this man some Zofran.
Disgusting.
Good times.
It's me. I just like Kristen Stewart. Like every time she was on screen, she was funny.
It's a great cast. I mean,
Yeah.
even Scott Speedman. I was like, "What's up?"
Yeah,
Like,
he
in
was.
Vampire Hybrid. Love you.
He was generally acting more than I typically think of him as being capable of. So yeah, I thought he was decent.
He's
And I-
Canadian, apparently. Did you know?
He
I
is.
did know that.
he
Yeah, I
is.
did know that.
I also did like the first scene that we were. John, you mentioned it in your initial thoughts on the movie, but like that initial scene where we see this kid just like she's like, "Don't eat what comes out of the ocean," and we're like, okay, maybe this kid has like a weird compulsion to eat things like a pica type disorder, and then he eats a trash can, and the mom's like, "I gotta go," and smothers.
Well,
it.
it's been nice,
insane.
son. Is Kristen Stewart Canadian as well? I guess that would make sense.
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We
No,
gotta have someone cool to claim. We'll claim her.
We claim her.
it's true.
Yeah.
All right. Anything
Los
else?
Angeles born.
Anything else about crimes of the
Crímenes del
future?
futuro.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like this is not starter Cronenberg. Like there's other places. you
Isn't
can-
Cronenberg the one that allegedly like had sex with his wife in front of like his actors on some movie because he wanted to like show them how to perform this love scene or something?
Wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, I can't. Yeah, I can't.
Now
say that
everyone
he
has-
definitely didn't do that.
now everyone has something to Google during the break.
That would have been Crash. If I had to guess, that's Crash. I'm guessing it right now. But go ahead.
Would you recommend this, John?
Yeah.
Casey?
Yeah.
Caitlin?
Yeah, I would.
All right, I would say no, unless you got a Cronenboner like Schnars, and you know if you do, or if you're sick, or if you're a sicko like
you
Caitlin.
know you do.
If you're a
Boner.
if you're a sicko like Caitlin and you like body horror, this might be your thing too. But if you're an Eric on this Sex in the City game, I say no. All right, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Scream. What a movie Rolling Stone magazine calls a delicious blend of fun and fright that's smashingly scary.
Funny. It was exciting.
It's a scream, baby.
The whole thing was fun.
Never
Say, I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Sensational, terrific entertainment, says the LA Times.
Scream is sexy.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs and laughing hysterically all at the same time.
Scream.
This is great. You have to see it.
Rated R, now playing.
Hi there, I'm Judith O'Day from George Romero's original Night of the Living Dead, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
Click on that link I sent, John.
I'm not clicking through to. It doesn't look like a reputable website, but
It's a fine website.
I saw the headline.
It's a fine website. It was a history of violence. He reportedly had sex with his wife in front of the cast so that they, quote, wouldn't feel uncomfortable about filming their love scenes. Which sounds like a guy who just really wanted to fuck in front of a bunch of people. It was like, you're being paid to watch me, now do this.
Do any of y'all listen to the last podcast on the left?
No.
There was a bit, and I can't tell if it was a bit or like a real thing, but Henry said that he goes to the same doctor as Cronenberg, and that like there was a mishap and the door opened and like he saw Cronenberg's butthole, like because he was being there for a prostate exam or something.
That's a bit.
That sounds like a HIPAA violation to me.
Yeah, well, it certainly is, but
Nothing on Twitter tonight, is that right?
yes.
Caitlin, what do you got going on over at Plug It Up?
Things have been good. This past week, Elizabeth was on to cover The Stylist, which we did cover on Bloody Good Horror, came out in 2020, and that movie rules. And the director has been really interactive on Instagram, and it's been really cool talking to her about the movie. And got I think a favorite coming up next week, a little autopsy flick, if you will. So.
For people who haven't heard your show, what's the elevator pitch on Plug It Up?
Yeah, it's about the monstrous feminine. So women facing horrors, women who are themselves horrific, all kinds of monstrous femme tropes. Monstrous menstruation is where we started, then monstrous motherhood, getting into some final girls, just any kind of women in horror stuff at this point. Anything that I want to do, I'm gonna shoehorn it in.
Well,
It's the Caitlin show, all right.
Hey, easy.
at some point, if a show's going to keep going, you gotta move beyond whatever that initial, niche was. So,
Yeah.
How do people find it?
Plug It Up Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and if you search Plug It Up or my name in your podcatcher of choice, it should come up. Big red logo with white letters and a tampon on it.
Can't miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't miss it. John,
Yes.
I'm surprised I didn't get a text from you today. The Clerks 3 trailer dropped.
Jesus Christ. We've all been sitting by our machines, our computers, waiting for the Clerks 3 trailer.
It looks pretty sweet. I'm
I
pretty
don't know
excited.
that. I think I saw the second one. I actually don't know.
The second one is like way better than it has any right to be. I don't know if anybody here has seen it, but it's really good.
It's Rosario's fault.
Yeah, she's really good in it. Rosario Dawson, John. And
Yeah, I
Clerks
know
2.
who Rosario is. I could
Are you
have guessed that.
Are
But
you familiar? She was in Kids.
yes.
Yeah, I remember that movie. It looks really good. I just wanted to. That's on my,
Rent.
since we
There's
didn't
a
have any
Rent.
Twitter. I'm just bringing up things that happened to me today, John. I saw
Yeah.
the Clerks 3 trailer and I liked it.
Mm.
So there you go.
Did you see the trailer for The Menu by any chance?
No, what is the menu?
It's it's supposedly a horror comedy, but it looks straight up horror. It's got Ralph Fiennes, I think, and then Anya Taylor-Joy, who's like our scream queen in all kinds of horror. But it's like a not spooky, but it's like a super high-end upscale restaurant, and like some shit's about to go down is what the trailer looks like. I'm intrigued. I'm interested that it's being billed as a horror comedy, but I'm looking forward to that. That and Nope, and then The Watcher are
Oh,
all
yeah.
ones. And then The Black Phone. I would like to see that.
Is
but
Watcher not? I thought that was out already.
it's out. I just haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
I've heard some.
You're just like naming movies that you want to see.
I've heard some mixed.
John,
I've heard some mixed things about the Black Phone from some people
I've heard
who've
mixed
seen it.
things. I like Ethan Hawke though.
I would say, I mean, really, and I mean, people know who listen to the show. Like, I don't have any idea what's coming out, but I am excited for Nope. That's about it.
It comes out soon.
Yeah.
I think people have already gotten their
It's-
tickets.
I think it's in like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh shit!
They're on my B-Day. Jordan Peele did that for me.
I think we're gonna have to get into the theater for that here, folks.
I was already excited for Black Phone, and then I found out that it was a Joe Hill story. So
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I had a report back. So we've been for the last couple of months, we had people write in about like, what's a good way to get kids into horror or whatever. And so my recently turned 6-year-old asked to watch Coraline because she's into makeup videos, first of all, on YouTube, like tutorial, like I'm a character, or they're doing the character. So she watched one that was from a character from Coraline that was like this terrifying. And now she's fascinated. So she's like, "Can I watch Coraline?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I put it on. I had never seen it. I probably should have screened it first. Scared the shit out of the 3-year-old, but she made it through it. But like the 6-year-old is like in and now keeps telling me she loves scary stuff and is like way into it. Have you guys seen it?
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
There's a really insane burlesque scene that I would not say is like appropriate for children. That was a fun conversation I had to have with her. So yeah, I mean, your mileage may vary on that one, but yes, she's now watched Coraline like 20 times in the last like 2 weeks. So
Well, she likes horror. She's a
so that might be a good one
because.
because it's Tim Burton, it's like truly, it's pretty scary. And she's like 6. She seemed to handle it pretty well. So 3-year-old
Did
hasn't.
you do Nightmare Before Christmas? Is that on?
Probab-
Since we're talking about Tim
So
Burton?
I've never
Yeah.
seen it, so that would be a fun one to watch with her.
Oh,
so.
you got what? What?
you haven't seen it?
My kids love that one.
John-
Well, sorry, the 6-year-old loves it. The 8-year-old does not. He
John, I
thinks
have to
it's
work
scary.
in my yearly viewings of like Sleepaway Camp 2 and Chud.
Yeah, I know.
And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm fucking busy over here.
I think that's I mean, and the songs are pretty solid. Like you're not gonna.
Oh yeah.
Eventually, you might get sick of them, but they're
Ah.
really solid. So
I saw it in the theater. Like I'm almost positive. When
Is it a
originally came out.
Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
It's
Yes.
both. That's
Yeah.
the magic.
it's eternal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
That's the point.
I don't like
Yeah.
I don't like Christmas in my Halloween.
It's fun. You should watch it.
I think you'll
mean,
enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, then watch it for Christmas, because then what you're doing is you're getting some Halloween in your Christmas.
I could get into
There you
that.
go.
Amazing.
I could get into that. Anyway, just wanted to report that back. That's my finding from Parenthood.
We're just watching Sing 2 on repeat because it's now on Netflix and it's really good. Like it's just a good movie, and like my 4-year-old is fucking obsessed.
The
It's
first Sing
ridiculous.
is pretty fun. It's a lot of like
I love the first thing.
retract pop songs and stuff. So we on Sundays are like chill days here, and in the morning when we're like making breakfast, I'll put on like 80s playlists on Spotify. So that's been like a real trip. And like every 10 minutes she goes, "Oh, this is from Sing 2." And I'm like, so then I'm explaining like, "No, this was like a thing 40 years ago. Get with it."
Like, listen up, nerd. No, it's not.
Yeah, those movies are really good though. I agree. I recommend those. And
Not scary.
I keep having people recommend. This has become a recurring thing here on the show. Kid movie time with John and Eric. I keep having people recommend that Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers to me.
Oh, I love it.
You mean Casey? Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
else, yeah, but
My
Casey.
kids loved it, but
Casey
I did not
started
watch
it. You were saying it, and then somebody I ran into like in real life sees recently was telling me about it.
You looked at them and you're like, you're not even a nerd. Like, what's going on here?
Well, they also have kids and are just trying to make it through the day, John.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
As we all are.
Hold on, I need a gross burp. Okay. Patreon.
Are we cutting that or?
Patreon.com. Nope. Patreon.com. We don't cut anything, John.
No, I'm aware.
Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You can get live stream, back episodes, access to Slack. It just ended, but we do, we were doing like watch alongs every week with The Last Drive-In There is a watch and chat channel where people do like 1 or 2 movies a week together and hang out and chat. So there's always some kind of communal thing. There's Saturday night trivia that happens sometimes and all kinds of good shit like that. So check it out. Bloody Good Horror on Patreon. And I guess you want to double check Twitter, Caitlin, and we'll go to Instagram.
I think Casey just checked, but we can certainly double. But it looked like there were some good Instagrams.
Yeah, there's still nothing on Twitter, unfortunately. People are breaking my heart.
I haven't been on Twitter in almost 10 years. It's wonderful.
I've had Twitter for 13 years.
I have been starting my day. I've been starting my day not on Twitter, and it turns out, John, it's done wonders for my mental health. You wouldn't know it.
Imagine that.
You wouldn't know it
Can't
from
hurt.
this show, but it has. Let's see what we have. How far into the future would you like to go if you could?
Ooh,
That's a hard one.
I'm feeling like not super optimistic about the future.
Yeah, my
right
question
now.
was, when are humans gone?
Yeah.
don't
I
know,
think I'd go
that's
really,
tough.
really far.
I find that
just
question.
Let's see.
I find that question really fascinating, though, because the question is usually, where in the past would you go? So it's like an interesting thought experiment. I just
Yeah.
said alien. Like, I want to know about aliens. That's pretty much what I want to know about.
I would go pretty far future too. I mean, as deep as I get into science fiction and horror and fantasy movies and stuff, so they're always talking about. There's always stories about predicting the future and stuff like that. I learned a long time ago. I don't want to know when I die.
Mm.
Are you thinking like 200 years in the future or like 2,000 years in the future?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
It's like the time machine. You
We
know,
gotta
where-
fly. You gotta find the flying cars, right?
well,
Bleep, bleep, bleep.
you go far enough, it's like a new Stone Age. You know.
I don't know if we could cope. I feel like
No,
I
I
would just
mean,
like,
That's deep.
Whatever COVID is, then it's definitely gonna kill you. So.
That's deep, John. I like that. Old sex, I presume he means from X, versus getting sensually cut up in a skin pod. Your choice.
I thought old sex was a reference to the what he says, like I'm
Oh,
not good at the old sex.
Old sex, right? I guess I'm going old sex.
Yeah.
Old
That's
sex are
fun.
getting cut up in the pod?
In the skin pod, yeah.
I mean
It's not like there's probably
I love
someone out there that's gonna go a different direction there, but
yeah.
Yeah.
whew,
Here's one. Here's a fun one. What crime do you wish you had committed? I don't know. Looting always
Like-
seemed fun.
is it? But like, are you
Wouldn't
getting
loot
away
Eric.
with the crime?
No, I wouldn't loot. That's the point. But if I could, that's what I would do. I'd like get a.
No, I
go
feel
get-
like you would just go home.
go
I
get
feel
me- I'm-
like-
I'm saying in this version of the world where I would do a crime, I would go
Okay,
loot so I
okay.
could get myself a new TV.
I think like being a cool hacker, like whenever they're like,
Yeah,
I'm in.
hacking
in
seems cool.
movies.
Yeah, like from the movie Hackers, they seem cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like stealing like a bunch of Bitcoin, a bunch of off
Mm.
like some
Douchebags.
shows.
You guys have
would
the
be
safest.
amazing.
You guys have the safest answers. I've literally been thinking all day like arson might be fun. Might be fun to just
At
watch
this
it all
point, I'm
burn.
like, if I could, if I were like a medical practitioner and could do like, I don't know, I don't want to get into the road stuff because I'm gonna get upset, but like
Forced
Yeah, like, come on.
vasectomies.
Underground Railroad of Abortion Network. I don't know.
All right, it's getting too dark here. Let's move on.
Here's a lighter question. What has been in your freezer longer than 1 month? This is your friend, Caitlin.
I love Nick.
Oh, we've had
So many
Tons of
things.
stuff. Yeah, like,
This is my answer to this.
isn't the point of the freezer that you keep things longer than 1 month?
Well, I think he means more, but you know what he's talking about. Like that thing that you know
Yeah.
you're never going to fucking eat and your kids are never going to eat, but you can't get rid of it.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
I have a bag of broccoli that I have used all of the like florets of broccoli, and it's just the broccoli butts, which frozen broccoli butts are like inedible. And I know
throw
I'm
it away.
and I know I'm never gonna eat them. No, here's why. Because well, this is apartment thing. My garbage situation is a whole thing, so I gotta be prepared. Like if you throw broccoli in your garbage can and that shit doesn't go out immediately, it's gonna go real bad for you and everyone around.
Are they? They're in like a sealed bag though.
No,
Like a half open, like half used.
no,
bag.
it's been half used.
Oh.
Yeah, I used.
yeah,
I
no, you
left the
gotta-
butts. They're unused butts, John.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
You gotta just gotta buy the florets next time.
Well, that's what I do now. I see the error of my ways. I was in some
He's
stupid.
graduated.
I was in some stupid store that only had that kind.
Stupid store. I think my dad was like, "Hey, do you want to take these home?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Just take them." And it was like a bag of frozen onion rings that I'm never gonna cook.
How do you cook? I mean, you gotta like.
So weird. How
do you
long
need
were they
like
in
an?
his freezer?
I guess you could air fry them.
Yeah, I think in the air fryer. And like, listen, like I like an onion ring. I'm just probably never gonna make them. I just can't see a scenario where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make those onion rings.
Tonight
I'm
is the
dying for
night.
some
Oh,
onion
I got
rings.
another one too. I had a.
Got guests coming over.
I buy like frozen mango, but if you accidentally let it thaw and then throw it back into the freezer, it's a brick that you can't do anything with, and so I now have a mango brick that I'm never going to use, and it'll probably be there till I move.
No.
Yeah, like fruit in general. Once you freeze it once, you can't unfreeze it and then freeze it again. It's just like
Yeah, I think it's like not allowed. Like they advise against it on the packaging.
I've done it. I like to live by my own rules.
Just going off of the one thing that popped in my head when the question was asked, I know I've got 2 Aldi's frozen chicken Alfredo pizzas that have been in there for months and nobody will touch.
That sounds good.
I know
You're
it
gonna
doesn't
want
look bad.
those sometime in a pinch.
Dude,
you're gonna be happy to have
I
them.
know.
Aldi's the shit. They're so
Oh,
good.
I love Aldi's.
Yeah, awesome. I do most of my shopping there now.
Yep.
Argento and Cronenberg recently returned to horror. Which master should be next? I don't think if you don't have to work right now, why would you want to work? Like, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
If
I mean,
if you got horror
I
master
don't
money,
have died.
go live on a hill in LA and don't do anything. You're fine.
The sad thing is the first thing that popped in my mind because I was just thinking eras and film history and stuff was Wes Craven, and that's not going to work out.
R.I.P. I was thinking Craven too, and I was like, I mean,
Oh, this was the one who was answered. What event or thing would you most like to travel to the future for, so you don't have to wait? I took this as like a far future question, but I take this now to mean
like if the
your
the
life?
next Xbox release.
Like when Nope comes out.
Yeah.
That was my I answered aliens because I want to know if there's aliens. So take me to whenever we figure that out. Good or bad, I don't care. It can't be worse than this timeline. Just take me there. I don't care if we're getting
Good.
sucked up and turned into slaves. Let's do it.
yeah, I don't have an answer that's not like super sad.
The best that I got is I would love for it to be August so I can go see John Mulaney.
There you go. I would love for it to be every summer. I would just like to speed through it and just go to fall so I could skip summer.
Here's a good one. What's the grossest single moment / scene from Cronenberg's career? I'm
John?
not a
one.
completist, but I would say the sack of babies from The Brood.
It's up there. There's some nasty stuff in Videodrome too.
Yeah.
The sack. Videodrome's
I don't know.
pretty
I don't
gross,
have like a great the final sequence in The Brood is
Yeah.
pretty aggressive.
I think most of
When she's like cleaning it with
Yeah.
her tongue. Yeah.
I think most of Existence is also pretty horrifying. I don't like teeth, and there's a lot of like weird teeth things in that movie.
I mean, y'all got to check out Crash. There's some pretty interesting sequences there.
Naked Lunch has got some bizarro shit too.
Yeah.
Seeing some new messages from Orion. I think this is Ryan's maybe first time writing us in. Favorite Three Floyds beer?
Ooh.
This is not a question for me.
God, I'd have to look at the list. Like, we don't get we get some of their beers, but we don't get like I don't think we're getting like a complete list of all the.
This
Three
is
Floyds
fascinating.
around there.
Ryan has 100 followers. He has a private account. He has tweeted or he has Instagrammed 0 times. Fascinating.
Zombie Dust is the easy go-to for Three Floyds, but I also like their Space Station Middle Finger, which is a nice
love the
pale ale.
names.
Those sound like
Yeah.
beers. Those sound like beers. Cool. And last up, also Ryan, he says you should review Jigoku. It's not a question, but I insist. I don't know what this movie is. Anybody?
Is that at all related to Dragon Ball Z?
I don't think so. I'm googling.
It's got Goku in
It
it.
is a 1964 or 1960 looks like Japanese film called The Sinners of Hell in English, which is a pretty sick name.
Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty cool.
It says horrific fates await 2 hit-and-run drivers who kill a yakuza.
Oh,
Ooh.
that
Okay.
sounds like a gangster movie, maybe more
Well,
than horror. But
If Ryan's been watching, listening to the show long enough, he knows it's going to take a lot to get me to watch something from 1960. So there we are.
if we're watching something from the '60s from Japan, I want it to be what's the 4-part with like the beautiful scenery? God damn it! Never mind.
That's most of
Who are
them.
you talking to right now?
No, it's like an anthology from the '60s. It's like really famous. It's on the Criterion Collection.
But it's a horror movie?
Yeah, it's 4 Japanese horror stories.
Was it Kill Bill? No. Wrong answer.
Oh, God.
Oh, I got
Joe's
it.
gonna be so disappointed in me when I don't remember the name.
I had another dumb joke, but I'll stop.
Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon. That's what it's called.
Ah.
Someone
I
at
have
home
heard
was
of
like, "You fucking idiot, Qui-Gon."
No one was like that. Maybe Joe.
Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Ferry, who was on a couple weeks ago here. Love it. You know what we could fast forward to, John? Our next milestone, which will be episode 700. We're like less than a year away from episode 700. We're going to join
Oof.
the 700 Club, John.
The 700.
Well,
There we
I
go.
don't
We
know
made
that.
it.
Send me your money.
What's the plan?
Oh, God. Try to make it. That's the plan. Stay on my feet.
If I get COVID one more time, it'll be the end.
No shit.
3rd time's the charm, Snars.
Does it count as not
Ugh.
get? Does it count as getting COVID if you took a test and it was negative, but it was some shitty at-home test and you probably definitely had it but didn't take another test? Does that count?
I mean, you had something.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
bad. Bad
The
news.
at-home test, in my experience, I always I've had to take a shitload of them now, and I'm like, you get to a point where you're like, these don't fucking work, like what, and then you get the positive, and you're like, oh,
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So
yeah,
like,
I just was sick with something else before.
yeah, like I've never had a positive one, even though I definitely had it once. But when in January when my daughters had it, I did one on one of them, and I didn't even have a chance to set it down and walk away. It was positive. It was like, yo, this motherfucker got COVID right here. You better.
Yeah.
I took one before 4th of July festivities just to make sure that I wasn't spreading anything, and it was negative. So
Yeah.
it better
So
be
you went-
accurate.
You went hog wild.
I was like, let's go. My friend hosted a Survivor-themed backyard games 4th of July. It was a lot of fun.
That sounds fun.
That sounds like
I was not
exhausting.
great at the games.
Survivor, like the show.
Yeah, like you vote someone off your tribe,
Oh,
and
that sounds like way too much participation for me. I'm sorry.
it was
You were,
pretty.
I assume you were drinking. Like there was at least drinking.
One of the games was beer pong. I might have been off the island by that point, but
Very good.
Love it. I would have self-evicted. That's the thing, right? Self-evicted.
I'm leaving, taking my ball home.
Do the old Irish Survivor goodbye.
That's just like you die.
It's like I just showed up to your party and now you're asking me to do group activities like I'm in college. Like, fuck off.
They were silly ones, like
Yeah.
the waitress races. Have you ever done those where you like hold a tray and try not to spill it while you like do an obstacle course?
God,
I'm in. Like you signed me up.
man.
It was pretty
Anyway,
fun. And then trying not to laugh. Those are fun.
bloodygoodhorror.com. Check out patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Check out Plug It Up. Check out Cinema Fromage. Check out Schnars with 5 A's and read his last tweet from 2011. It's 5 A's, right? Schnars on Twitter. I wonder if that account,
Yes.
that's got to be still there, right?
Yeah, I didn't deactivate it.
It's in the Wayback Machine or something. That's going to do it for Crimes of the Future, whose biggest crime is just being boring, it turns out. I'm just kidding. Hope you enjoyed this episode of BGH, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.